I have my bulletin at home. Let me see if there's a bulletin downstairs.
Lucy, I'd say. The show should have an idea. What? I wasn't there. I hadn't heard that. I didn't hear it. Okay. He's probably right. But he said the Shemon Esrei, you could hear his words, you could make a response to his brothers. I was very happy with the davening.
Who was this guy who davened Shemon Esrei today?
A yid. A yid. I don't know his name. He sits right next to the shoulder.
Whatever it is, it was such a machayah.
Yeah, to hear a beautiful davening. Even Psukei Tezimra, the guy who did Psukei Tezimra also was beautiful. If we could have a davening like that every day, I wouldn't have to come a half hour early.
Michael, when I was Gabbai, I had a sign. Whoever done for the I wrote the sign before you daven. We worked slow, and slow.
I hear. Say the word. You don't need. You could just say, "Please say all the words." This is what we call. We used to call a ship's captain minion. They're all skippers.
Right.
Remember, it's a machaya that daven. I thought he was terrific. We should hire him to be the chazan.
Does anybody have a bulletin from Thursday?
I have a boat.
You have, thank you. All right.
You want me to get down and get one?
I just
Right,
looked.
that is in front of it.
None of it?
No, it's the other way. You're standing on, yeah.
I see.
See it there.
Thank you.
Rabbi Green, do you know the gentleman that davened Chakras?
No, I
You
don't.
know, because he did a beautiful job.
First name Blazer.
He was sitting in front of Steve.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
no, I know where he sits, and I
Yeah,
see
no,
it,
I don't
and I know
know.
what his polish looks like.
I don't.
but I can't know his name.
I don't know. There are a lot of people who over the last year or two have
But we
become,
didn't visit him. I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying. There are a lot of people who over the last year or two have come to the village, and because of COVID, okay, either haven't been in shul regularly or,
he's there every day.
no, but I'm saying,
No, I'm saying, but he wasn't on the members.
I understand
Or at
that.
least maybe Goldschmidt went there. I don't know.
I understand that.
But he davened like you asked once about it.
Yeah, that's just what I thought. That's what I thought of. Okay, let me get the learning sponsors, and then we'll start with our daf. The year of learning, Alan is not here this morning. Okay. I said Alan is not here this morning.
Sugar baby.
Year of learning, Suanani Garlic, in memory of Malka Pro Man and Philip Man and Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Beryl ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Yosef Meir ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Henya Rivka Pro Rosna bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch. In memory of family murdered in the Holocaust, Harav Tzvi Hirsch ben Shlomo Yaakov, Sarah bat Ephraim, Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Ephraim ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Adia bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Miriam bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Pesel bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shalom ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Shlomo Yaakov ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Shmuel ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Sharon and Fred Liska, their family and many friends, in memory of her dear mom, Harriet Friedman, Edelbas Yaakov. Leslie and Gail Kaplan, in memory of their parents, Harry and Marjorie Siddell, Irving and Pearl Kaplan. Friends of Avi Gitler, Avram Meir Ben Shimon, and Martha Gitler, Sharna Bat Yeshaya. Children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of Toby Paris, Saratova Bat Yisrael Dov in her memory. Friends of Joe Wolf, Yosef Ben Chaim. Charlie Gelfenstein and Sam Levine, in memory of Ramona Levine, Rachel Mata Bat Asher. Friends of Nina Monester, Nechama Azna Bat Yitzchak Aharon. Many friends of Stephen Vigdor, Zleicher Nishmat Simcha Melech Ben Meir Leib Halevi. Friends of Marcy Kurtz, in memory of her great niece, Leah Bracha. A month of learning by Carol and Josh Sanborn, in memory of her father, Yehoshua Shia Ben Moshe Yehuda HaKohen. David and Sharon Carpel, in memory of his father, Zeb Moshe Ben Shlomo Yaakov. Bee Pizer, in memory of her mother, Razel Bat Shammai. Children of Grace and Julius Rosenzweig, in memory, namely Barbara Rottenberg, Ann Beres, and Judy Friedman, and Alan Rosenzweig, in honor of Graz Greenberg Haskell's special birthday. Mel and Haron Haller, in memory of his mother, Fega Bas Yaakov. Bee Pizer, in memory of her stepfather, Avram Michal Ben Shmuel Halevi. Week of Learning by Tema Harrisburg, in memory of her husband, Surya Ben Rachmiel Halevi. Sharon and Jerry Ness, in honor of Roz Greenberg Haskell's special birthday. Mark Linder, in memory of his nephew, a soldier in the IDF, who died in Lebanon, Eretz Paol Ben Sirlos. Jack Hoffman, in memory of his wife, Devorah Necha Bas Mordechai Tzvi. We have, today is the 13th, right?
Yeah.
And it is a day of learning by Ernie Bloom, in memory of his mother, Alta Chana Bas Harav Yechiel, by Leonie Meiselman, in memory of her mother-in-law, Mirza Bat Yosef. May Shemas have an Aliyah, Krank Rafia, Velti, Yeshua Shem Atliya, and the Chol B'nai Israel, a good Gebench. Thank you, Zeb. Okay. Okay, I will remind everyone that the shiur is on Zoom in case for some reason someone can't make it on a regular basis, and that the shiur is always recorded. Okay, if you want to listen to this shiur, you can access it, okay, through the shul website and the recording. If you prefer to access a different daf, I'm not insulted, okay, and there is all daf that one can access online and use that as a source, okay? Okay. The Gemara, as we were talking about, was dealing with a number of items, okay? And particularly as to who was going to be responsible to bringing an Olat Re'iyah, okay, and who is no longer responsible, okay? And our Mishnah listed a number of individuals, okay, a number of individuals who were exempt in that, from that situation. We're going to see today that the Marvin, was it there? You had put it away there? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Marvin, you want to use mine? Bob, you can have mine. You can use mine. What are you gonna use?
I have it on the screen.
Here, Bob, let me give him mine. I learned this. Yeah, I'll give him mine. We'll stack them up in front of him.
Right? Okay. And in any case, we're going to see today the Gemara raises the fact that there are other individuals who are exempt from Olat Re'iyah, who are not mentioned in our Mishnah, and a Braita or two that, okay, well, we'll see if they're mentioned.
Mamzer
Okay.
can go.
Okay,
It talks about in Tosafos, it talks about Mamzer.
well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I didn't look at
My
Tosafos.
best friend.
And, okay, but we'll see. All right. And then,
Nobody ever called you a mamzer.
no, not Sid. Right? So what happens? I want to just come back now that we've sort of interrupted the introduction. Okay, I want to clarify, okay, that the Gemara is going to tell us, okay, this issue. So on the bottom of, if you're using Art Scroll 3B3, towards the very bottom, okay, it made a reference to the fact, okay, that that there was a discussion there, okay, that if, how do we know somebody is crazy? Okay, and there were three things defined as clarifying that someone was crazy. Okay, one was that they slept in a cemetery. What?
Cemetery.
One was they slept in a cemetery. Okay, one was that they tore their garments. Okay, and the third was
Wandering around. alone.
wandering around alone at night.
Another
Okay.
Gemara, it says, and
Okay.
yelling at the moon.
Okay, well, that's right. Well, that we know people that do that mailer. Okay, it's called,
That makes him a lunatic.
no, it's called Kiddush HaChodesh, right? Kiddush HaChodesh, all right? He's surprised. Okay, in any case, what happens is the Gemara then tries to clarify, maybe in some of these situations, that is not a sign of lunacy. Okay, and it gave another examples. Okay, and it gave some discussion there. Okay, and that point. Okay, right, so that's where the Gemara was ending. Emur Kadesha Tishre Alav Ruach Tum'ah. He's doing that because of a different reason. There was a reason about wanting to be tamei. Bayotse Yechidi Balayla, going out at night, Imur Gan Darifus Acharei, right? That he had a fever or something, and he wanted to cool off. Vahamakra et ksuto. And so the last example is that he's tearing his garments, right? Imur Baal Machshavodhu. Kevan David knew the kulhu, okay, that maybe we're saying that he's an individual. He didn't really, he's focusing on other things and he didn't,
Like you run button your shirt and tear
Okay.
off a button.
okay, and he wasn't intending to do that kind of activity.
But even if he does all those three things.
Well,
good
we'll see. That's
explanation.
what the Gemara is going to try to
Well, if
clarify.
you all three together, it's
Okay,
hard to
that's the
explain
question. Is it all three or is it any one singular? Okay, that's right. Okay, so what happens? That's where the Gemara was. Kevan da'avinhu lekulhu, says the Gemara on the bottom of Gimel Amud Beis. Okay, Havalahu. Okay, then we go on to Dalet, which is today's daf. Havalahu kamoshin agach shor chamor v'gamal v'ne'asemu ad l'kol. Okay, maybe we're going to compare it then that he's like any of these other animals,
Sure,
Okay.
move.
right? That when he gets to an ox, a gourd, etc., 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 he gored these other animals, he said, and therefore we're going to consider it in a particular status, namely a shur mu'ad. Okay, and therefore we would consider the person in that status of being, okay, Mishuk. All right. So now what happens? So we're now on Dalet Amud Aleph, really the second line. Amar Rav Papa, says Rav Papa. Isha me'ele le Rav Huna. Okay, we're saying if this is what Rav Huna heard, okay, Hadatanya, here it's taught, Ezo Shoteh, Zeha Ma'abed Kol Mashinot Nimlo. Okay, maybe Rav Huna would say, who's a deranged person? Okay?
Rav Huna was not unaware of.
Wait, we're gonna get to that. Okay, so what happened? So if Rav Huna had heard this, might he have said? So the question is, would Rav Huna have basically said all three items define the deranged person? Or maybe it's only one of the items, and particularly only the last item, okay, about tearing the garments. That seemed to be the question. Okay, so no nimlo, hava hadar lebe. Okay, maybe Rav Huna would have retracted his statement about all three behaviors being a sign for the person being mentally unstable. Okay, Ibayalahu. So the question was asked as follows: Ki hava hadar be. Were Rav Huna then to retract the statement of all three criteria? Mimekrab ksuto hudahava hadar be. Would it have been only in regards to the tearing of garments that would have been that he would have retracted? Didamya laha, because that would have been compared to similar to these other things.
The new price.
Okay? Oh, Dilma, mikulhu hava hadar. Or would he have retracted in all three of these items? Okay? Teku. Okay, we don't have a clear answer here. Okay. Now that ends. Now we come back to our Mishnah. Okay? Vitum tum va'andrugunus. Okay, and regarding to these individuals, what's the situation there? Tanu Rabbanan, says the Braita. Zachor. It specifically tells us that it's males. Lahotzi et hanashim. This is there for the reason that we exclude and say women do not have to bring the olas re'iyah. Okay? Lahotzi tum tum va'an. Okay, then it goes on. Zuchorcha, your males. Okay, to an extra word telling us, namely, that I'm going to explain it this way, that they have to be clearly defined as males. Okay, lahotzi tum tum v'androgynous. Therefore, we exclude the tum tum and the androgynous, the hermaphrodite. Okay, kol zechorcha, all your males. Again, the additional word comes to tell me the rabot et hakatani. It tells me, therefore, minor males. Okay, and we're going to see the question of what, as we saw, what age was already discussed. Ride on the shoulders or hold their father's hand going up. Okay, that's the question. But minor, but males, the question of what's our cutoff age or cutoff status? Okay, a marmar. So another master said, okay, zachor, the fact that it says male, lahotzi et hanashim. He agrees, this Breiter agrees that says to exclude the women. Ha, lama likra. If that's the case, why do I need a pasuk? Okay, michdei, since mitzvot asa asay shehazman gramahu, since appearing on a holiday is a positive commandment, and we all know that women are exempt from time-bound positive commandments. That's what it's saying us. Mitzvat asay shehazman gramahu. It is a time-bound positive command. V'chol mitzvot asay shehazman grama nashim pturot. And all mitzvahs which are time-bound, women are exempt. Why did I need the right, Lena? Why did I need to learn that pasuk? Okay, it's tarich, says the Gemara. It was necessary. Salkadat tachamina, because it's possible I might have thought the following: Nilif re'iyah mihakel. That since I saw earlier that I make a gezerah shava from the example of hakel, I may have thought to make another gezerah shava here, with the fact that regarding hakel it says leiraot, and includes women there in that particular pasuk, right? Right? And I could maybe learn that Gzera Shava here from Hakel. Malahala Nashim Chayavot, whereas there women are obligated in Hakel, and it says they need to be seen then. Afkan Nashim Chayavot. I may have thought that here too, okay, women would be obligated. Kamash Malan comes to teach us that's not the case.
No, Rabbi,
Yes, ma'am.
the interesting thing is on Kol Zechur Ucha,
Yeah,
it's a Kadma V'Yazlo.
okay.
And it really says Kadma V'Yazlo from beginning to end, it has to be an Ish. Zechur
Okay.
Ucha.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Okay, so furthermore, says the Gemara, Zechorcha, your males, right? Lahotzi tum androgynous, as our earliest statement said. So this Braita agrees, again, to eliminate them. Bishlema androgynous, it's tarich. Okay, regarding the androgynous, the hermaphrodite, I would need it. Why? Because it's possible, I might say, since he has at least some aspect of masculinity, okay? If he's a hermaphrodite, right, he has both. Okay, l'chayev. Maybe one would think he would still need to be obligated. Kamash Malan comes to teach us Devaria bifnei atzmohu, that we consider him a unique kind of being, and therefore he is excluded from the requirement of Olat Re'iyah. Go on now. Ela tumtum. But what about the tumtum? Sfeikahu. That person, we don't know what their, because their genitals are not visible, so to speak, perhaps, okay, or are understood what they are. It's a doubt. It's tarich kra lema'ute sveka. Do we need a verse to tell us that we would omit the requirement of Olat Re'iyah on the
Just make it with the rights of the Chumrah.
okay?
So
Oh,
that
good
is-
point. Thank you, Ruben. Okay, that
Yeah,
could
you would
be.
high.
All right. Amar Abaye. All right. Says Abaye, ukushe beitzav mibachutz. Okay. So the implication Abaye is telling us is part of his genitalia are visible and another part are not visible. But I liked your point, Ruben. I thought that, and it's surprising, by the way, that the Gemara doesn't bring that. Okay. Did anybody catch that in any Rishonim? Yeah, when you read it? Okay. All right, nice point. Thank you for sharing that, guys. Okay, all right. I like that better than Abaya's answer personally, too. Okay? Anyway, okay, Amar Mar.
Abaya is saying it's really not a sveka.
Okay, that would be his
So
answer.
in other words, even though it's really not a sveka, it's
Still,
the gid. And if you look at the Clay Kodesh, the gid is the determinant.
okay, all right. So let's go on. So Kozechorcha, all your males, the Rabot et Haktanim, to include males that are minors. Okay, all right. Vahatnan, but aren't we taught in our Mishnah, Chutz Micheresho Tevikatan, with the exception of a deaf mute, one who is deranged on a minor. Amar Abaye, lo kashas is the Abaye, kan bekatan shehigia lechinuch. In one case, we're talking about a minor who has reached the appropriate age of education. Kan bekatan shelo higia lechinuch. Okay, and here we're talking about a minor who has not reached the appropriate age of education. So the Gemara, however, reminds us, Katan shehigia lechinuch the Rabbananhi, but that particular child, okay, he has the obligation, but only the Rabbanan and not the Oraita. Okay, Ein hachinami, and indeed that's the case, is the Gemara. Ukra ismachta ba'alma. And the use of the verse there is simply en ismachta. Okay. Ve'ela rather, kra l'mayata. So what reason do we have that the verse comes? L'keda acherim, according to the view of acherim, of others, Tznan, as they taught elsewhere. Acherim omrim, others say, and here we get into another example of individuals who,
According to them.
of individuals who would not be
Required.
okay. I was going to say required, but I was looking for another word. Okay, where the question of their obligation to have to do an olat riyah, okay, but we're going to see for another reason is brought up, okay? Hamikametz, one who gathers dung for tanning.
Street sweeper.
Well, both the art scroll and the
I mean, when he's sweeping. He's probably-
yeah, but I'm saying they were both very clear in defining. Okay, v'hamitzaref nechoshet, and one who purifies copper. Okay, vahabursi, and the tanner, paturin min hariyah, they are exempt from bringing an olas riyah, mishum shene'amar kol zechurcha, because it says all your males, namely mi sheyachol la'alot im kol zechurcha, those who are able to, I'm going to use the word, accompany other males in going up to Yerushalayim, up to Har HaBayit.
Why do they leave out the fishmonger?
Okay. Apparently he wasn't as smelly. Okay.
I don't know. You'll sign this same time next year.
Right? Okay. But it's very clear that these individuals, okay, were very odoriferous. Okay. And therefore, okay, that was the reason that since other people would not want to accompany them, okay, therefore they implied that they were
By the
exempt.
way, I mean, this is not halacha. This is acherim.
Right, this is the view of Acherim.
So
Okay.
you don't have to be worried.
Right, they could go up together, those guys, okay? Yatsu elu she'enan ru'uyim la'alot im kol zechurcha. They excluded, therefore, the Acherim excluded these because they were not fitting to go up with all your other males. Okay, let's go on. Nashim v'avadim she'enam meshuchrarim. We say women and servants that are not freed. Bishleim nashim keda'amran. That's appropriate regarding women, as we have said. Ele avadim minalan. But regarding the servants, what's the basis here? Amar Rav Huna, says Rav Huna, Amar Kra. Based on the following pasuk, says Rav Huna, El Pnei Ha'adon Hashem. Towards the master Hashem. Mi she'ein lo ela adon echad. That implies one that only has a single master, right? Yatzazeh sheyesh lo adon acher. That it excludes one that has another or a different master. Okay? Ha lama likra. Here then, why do I have the pasuk? Michdi, since kol mitzvah shaha'isha chayevet ba, eved chayav ba, since every mitzvah that a woman is obligated on, a servant also has the obligation, right? Kol mitzvah she'ein ha'isha chayevet ba, and any mitzvah for which a woman is not obligated, ein ha'eved chayav ba, the servant is not obligated then. Okay. Why? The gamar la meisha, because we learn a gezerah shava on the word la. Okay, in the regard the situation of the eved. and the word Eved and Shifcha in those cases, right? That's the reason why the Eved has the same obligations as the woman. Amar Ravina. Ravina, however, wants to suggest the following. Lo nitzracha ela lemi shechetzio Eved v'chetzio ben chorin. No, the reason the Mishnah perhaps had to spell this out, says Ravina, is because you have situations where an individual could be half freed, half still servitude. Daikanami, and this is exactly what we see here also. The Katani Nashim va'avadim she'enan meshuchrarim, because our Mishnah specifically spelled out women and servants who are not freed. Mai she'enan meshuchrarim. What do we mean when we say they are not freed? Ilema she'enan meshuchrarim klal. If we're saying that they're not freed completely,
At all.
okay,
Not
at all.
completely, at all.
Litnei avadim stama. Let them simply teach servants. And ela lav she'enan meshuchrarim legamrei, but rather they are not totally free.
Completely.
Umay minhu, and who are they? Mi shechetzio eved v'chetzio ben chorin shmamina. One who is half servant, half freed, and that's indeed what it comes to teach us. Okay, going on. V'achiger v'hasuma v'chole v'hazaken, referring to the lame, the blind, the sick, and the elderly. Tanu Rabbanan, we have a braita. Says regalim, prat leba'alei kavin. Okay, so we understand regalim like raglayim, with the exception of those who have a prosthetic, okay, a fake leg. Okay, remember in their days, okay, they had them made out of wood. Okay, that's why Art Scroll translates it as wooden legs. Koren, however, was more generalized.
Aesthetic.
It used
But
the
the
translation.
word covenant really means a depression.
Right.
They would
Right.
carve a hollow
Hollow,
with
and the other
lead,
put the
stick,
right.
stump it.
Right. Like the old pictures of pirates. Okay. No, if you see pictures of pirates, that's
Yeah, but then you have to wear a knife,
that only depends.
and
Okay.
you wouldn't be able to go because you can only see with one
Identify
eye.
as skilled in that.
Right. Davar acher, another example of raglayim or regalim. Prat lechiger, ulechole, ulesuma, ulezakein. With the exception of the lame, the sick, the blind, or the elderly, uleshe'eno yachol la'alot b'raglav, or one who is not able to go on his feet. He can't take his scooter up the mountain there.
Wouldn't have.
Okay, right? V'she'eno yachol la'alot b'raglav la'atuyei mai. And when we say one who is not able to go up on his own legs, to include whom? Amar Rava, says Rava, la'atuye mifanke, to include the delicates. Now, I found an interesting shot in Koran. You can like it or not. Okay, they understood delicate as to one who can't walk without shoes.
Right, the cat is
Incapable of walking barefoot because one needs to walk barefoot in the.
That's what Rashi says.
Oh, so they based it on Rashi. How do you like
Believe
that?
He cited Rashi.
Okay, why? Because it's a question of as if one would be trampling on the.
The Gemara brings that
Right,
up.
right, and that's what the Gemara is going to tell us now. Dichtiv, why? Because it cites the pasuk, Ki tavo lirot panai mi bikesh zot miyadchem ramos chatzerai. Okay, and Art Scroll is kind enough to translate it for us, right? Namely, when you come to appear before me, who sought this from your hand to trample my courtyards. Okay, right. Okay, Tana. Now, Brian.
Stockings allowed?
What?
No,
No.
bare feet.
Bare feet. Okay. So we go on now. We said the Gemara was going to clarify for us other individuals who are exempt, who weren't mentioned in the Mishnah. Ha'arel, one who is uncircumcised. V'hatameh, one who is tameh. Pturim min ha're'iyah, they are exempt from olas re'iyah.
That lashon is inexact
Yeah.
because the tameh is asur. You can't go into the base hamikdash.
Well, we're going to get to that.
So, no, so the point here is that they just are on a roll. They kept saying,
Well,
butter.
Okay, well,
So they continue.
could be. Okay, bishlema tameh. That's understandable that we say that tameh is not appropriate. Dichtiv ubata shama v'hevetim shama. Namely, that you can come there and you can, if you can come there, you can bring there. If you can't come there, you can't bring there. In other words, if you're tameh and you can't come into the temple precinct, then you can't bring or send a korban there. That's the implication. Okay? Kol sheyeshno babiyah, yeshno ba'ava. One who is able to arrive or come there, he is also able to bring or send there. The kol she'eno babiyah and eno b'hava'ah. Okay, and one who cannot, okay, right, arrive there, be present there, cannot send or bring there. Ela arel minalan, but what about the uncircumcised? Ha mani Rabbi Akivahi. According to whom is that? That's the view of Rabbi Akiva. Demarbe la'arel kitameh, who includes the uncircumcised in the status of a tameh. Okay? The Tanya, as we now see what Rabbi Akiva teaches in a Braita, he says, ish. Okay, notice the double lashon. Okay, lerabot et ha'arel, and that includes the uncircumcised. Okay, Tanu Rabbanan. This new Braita comes to tell us the following: Tameh patur min ha're'iyah. Somebody who's tameh is exempt from the olat re'iyah. Dichtiv, why? Uvata shama v'hevetem shama. He says, if you're right, you can come there, you can bring or send there. Kol sheyesh no babiyah yesh no b'hava'ah. One who can bring it can send or bring, right? Because she'eno babiyah eno b'hava'ah. And one who can not enter there, okay, cannot bring or send it there.
Those are only phobos. He could send them a double.
Right, that's something else. All right. Rabbi Yochanan ben Dahabai, Omer, Mishum Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, he gives another statement. Suma be'echat me'enav, patur min ha're'iyah. One blind in one eye. Okay, that's where you got the idea of the eye patch, Michael, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. All right, again, is exempt from the olat re'iyah. Shne'amar yero'eh, or yir'eh, yero'eh, yero'eh, right? So we have the lashon here of yir'eh, yero'eh, kederech sheba lir'ot, the same way one would come to see.
To be seen by.
Whoa, right. Kach ba le'ra'ot. So likewise, he comes to be seen
by God.
Okay. Ma ba lir'ot b'shtei einav. The same way the person comes to see with two eyes, generally. Af le'ra'ot b'shtei einav. So he is to be seen by Hashem kivyachol with two eyes. Okay. Now, the Gemara is going to continue with a slight reference to that use of that phrase. Rab Huna, Kimati lahaikra, when Rav Huna came to this pasuk that told us about Yir'eh, Yera'eh, Bechi, he would cry. Amar, he would say as follows, Eved sherabo mitzapelo liroto yitrachek mimenu. A servant whose master looks forward to, so to speak, seeing him is going to distance himself from him. Dichtiv, because it's written, ki tavo lirot panai, mi bikesh zot mi yedchem ramos chatzerai. Okay, that was the first pasuk on the top of the Amud. Again, that we saw. Again, question of trampling. Rav Huna, kimate lahaikra. When Rav Huna came to the following pasuk, b'chei, he cried, "V'zavachtel shlamim v'achalta sham." It says you will make offerings, shlamim, and you will eat them there. Eved shirabo mitzapeh le'echol al shulchano yidrachek mimenu. Okay, a master who's anticipating his servant coming to eat with him. Is the master going to distance himself from him? Dichtiv, as it's written, Lamali rov zivchechem yomar Hashem. Why all these offerings? Rabbi Elazar. Okay, so that's again his point. Kimate lahaikra. When Rabbi Elazar got to the following pasuk, b'chei, he cried, V'lo yachlu achav la'anototo ki nivhalu mipanav, citing the pasuk in regards to Yosef, that the brothers were awestruck, so to speak. They weren't able to answer him, right? Umat tochacha shabasar v'dam kach, and whereas the rebuke of a flesh and blood person is such, tochacha shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu alachat kama v'kama, how much more so the rebuke of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, again, Rabbi Elazar kimate lahaikra b'chei. Rabbi Elazar, when he came to the following pasuk again, he would cry, Vayomer Shmuel el Shaul, as Shmuel said to Shaul, Lama hirgaztani laha'alot oti. Why did you disturb me, bother me, to raise me up? Okay, this is when Shaul came to the supposed woman who was really the witch, okay, and he had her raise up the deceased Shmuel at the time, all right? Uma Shmuel had Tzaddik Hayamit Yarei min Hadin, and where Shmuel the righteous, right, was he afraid from justice? Okay, Eino al achat kama v'chama. Okay, Anu, ourselves, how much more so? Shmuel Maihi, with Shmuel, what was the situation? Dichtiv, why? Because it says there, Vatomer ha'isha, as the woman said, El Shaul to Saul. Okay, Game ra'iti olim. I saw some sort of
well, it means a person, a powerful person.
A powerful being coming up with you. Olim, the fact that it's in the plural, Trei mashma, implies there were two of them. Chad Shmuel, ve'idach, one was Shmuel and another. Okay, Da'azil Shmuel, va'achil Moshe bahade. What had happened? Shmuel brought along Moshe Rabbeinu with him. Okay, Amarle, and he said to him, Dilma chas v'sholom, ladina mitba'ina. Okay, perhaps chas v'sholom, I'm being brought to justice. Kum bahadai, come along with me. Deleka milta the kataft ba'araita delo kaimte, because there is not a single thing in the Torah that I did not fulfill. Another case, Rabbi Ami, kimate lahaikra. When Rabbi Ami came to the following pasuk, Bache, he would cry. Yitain ba'afar pihu, ulai yesh tikva. Okay, citing again the pasuk that ArtScroll translates it for us there. Okay, and they use the word ulai. Okay, that goes into the earth. Perhaps there's hope.
I'm eating dirt.
Right? When I die, perhaps I'll have right?
Yeah, I mean, Pasuk only says maybe I'll have.
Exactly. Amar kulai hai v'ulai. He says all this and then only perhaps. Okay, Rabbi Ami kimate lahai kra bachi. When Rabbi Ami came to the following pasuk, he would cry. Right again, bikshu tzedek, bikshu anava, ulai tisartru biyom af Hashem. Again, the same concept. Reach justice, humility, etc. Perhaps again,
Maybe.
right? Amar kuli hai v'ulai. All of this and again, perhaps. Rabbi Asi kimati lahai kra bachi. When Rabbi Asi came to the following pasuk, he would cry. Sin ura v'ahavu tov v'hatzigu b'sha'ar mishpat ulai yichanein Hashem. Right? Again, hate evil, do good, present justice, etc., perhaps, etc., etc. Kuli hai v'ulai, all this, and again, only perhaps. Rav Yosef, kimate lahai kra bachi. When Rav Yosef came to the following pasuk, he would cry, right? V'yesh nisfa below mishpat. Okay, so again, citing. Amar mi ika da'azir below zmane. Is it possible that one goes before their time?
You can
In other words,
before it's
die
done.
before their allotted time period. Okay?
Okay?
And yes, now we're not going to go through this whole thing today. I'm going to only do part of it, and then we'll finish it up tomorrow. But I wanted just a little bit more. Yes, he says. So what happens? Kiha the Rabbi bar Abaye have a shachiach gabe malach hamavis. So this Rabbi bar Abaye was on friendly terms,
Intimate
okay,
relationship
with the malach hamavis, and this is the conversation they're having where we question: is it possible for somebody to die before their allotted time? Okay. Amarle l'shluche. So the Malach HaMavis says to his messenger, okay, Zil Aitili, Miriam Migadla Se'ar Nashai. Go and bring me Miriam,
the hairdresser.
okay, who is the woman who does, she's the Shedel Macha, the hairdresser, the woman who does hair for women. Azal Aitele, Miriam Migadla Dardaki. He brought him Miriam, who was the preschool teacher. Okay?
Wrong Miriam.
Wrong Miriam. Amarle. So the Malach HaMavis says to his assistant, to his representative, Anna, Miriam Migadla say Anna Shaya Marla. I told you to bring Miriam the Shedelmacher, the hairdresser, to me. Amarle. So he says to the messenger says back to the Malach HaMavis, Ihachi Ahadra. If that's the point, I'll bring her back.
Send her back.
I'll bring her back to life. Okay? Amarle. He says to her, Ho'il va'aitita lahavi leminyana. Since you brought her, we'll include her in the count. Okay?
She stays dead.
She stays dead. Okay? Okay. Ella hechi yacholtla. Okay, so what's going to happen? Tune in tomorrow, as they say. Okay, that's where we'll pick up the bottom line. Okay, all right, how could this be? In other words, how is it possible that the wrong Miriam got taken? All right?
We learned that
Well, we
Chaya
learned
Banim
this,
is Umazone is totally Masma.
and we also
Maslow
learned that
versus
you
Maslow.
don't walk next to a rickety wall. In other words, when you put yourself in a situation of sakana, then this is the kind of thing that could happen.
Okay, so that,
Your shovel during lightning?
okay, so that is the introduction for tomorrow. That you either you put yourself in a dangerous situation or you do something that leads to misfortune. Okay,
Or it's simply
right? That's the case. So that's where we'll pick up tomorrow, the last line, because it goes over, and then after this story, it goes to a whole different topic.
The main point of
We
this-
haven't seen it yet. Let's see.
The main point of this story is if your name is Miriam, don't go into the Kikama Shema.
I
Is
hope
he-
you tell that,
Nursery school.
I hope you tell that to your wife.
No.
Rabbanan Kaddish from Mr. Goldberg would like to say Rabbanan Kaddish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
Hey, hey, Shmei, Rabbi Mavorach, V'lo Mumi Umayla. Very cool. Amen. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. All right, take care.